Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you don't know who I am, I'm the religious hippie, also known as Amber Rose. You can basically follow me on any social media platform. They're linked below in the description, or you just have to type in the religious hippie and you will find me. So today we're going to be going over my little list of, I don't really think they count as vocab words, but basically I think they're really important to know and to memorize. I'm personally pretty rusty with memorizing things, so if you're in the same boat as I am, high five, because I'm gonna suck at this. But basically we're gonna be going over like 10 things that I think are really important for Catholics to memorize or new Catholics to learn, because I just think these things are really important. And if you guys want me to do a part 2 to this, there's probably gonna be a lot of parts to this because I think there's a lot of things Catholics need to define and memorize. But these are basically just the basics, I guess you could say. Some of these are going to be obvious. You probably already went over some of this in confirmation class if you were in confirmation class, and if you're a new Catholic, you probably went over some of this stuff in RCIA, and if you're not Catholic, get ready to learn. With that being said, let's get into the video. So the first thing that I think Catholics should memorize is capital sins. So basically capital sins is principal sinful tendencies, and this is usually due to the effect of original sin. So the capital sins are pride, envy, anger, sloth, greed, gluttony, and lust. So those are the 7 capital sins. Now this isn't really going to be in-depth, like I'm going to try to explain certain things, but for the most part I think this is just going to be an overview and not really like getting too deep into the rabbit hole. So if you guys want me to go more in-depth in some of these topics, let me know below. Okay, the second thing that I think Catholics should memorize is the cardinal virtues. So that would be prudence, justice, fortitude, and temperance. In the Book of Wisdom 8:7, it states, "If anyone loves righteousness, wisdom's labors are virtues, for she teaches temperance and prudence, justice and courage." All I'm saying is if you haven't read the Book of Wisdom yet, bruh, what are you doing? I also wanted to add in this quote from St. Augustine. Do you guys pronounce it Augustine or Augustine? Because I do both, and it kind of confuses people, and it kind of confuses me too. But let me know how you pronounce his name below. "To live well is nothing other than to love God with all one's heart, with all one's soul, and with all one's efforts. From this it comes about that love is kept whole and uncorrupted. No misfortune can disturb it. It obeys God only, and is careful in discerning things, so as not to be surprised by deceit or trickery." I personally just really love that quote from St. Augustine. So the third thing that I think Catholics should memorize is the gifts of the Holy Spirit. So the gifts of the Holy Spirit is wisdom, counsel, understanding, strength, knowledge, piety, and fear of the Lord. Now the Catechism of the Catholic Church 1831 states, "They complete and perfect the virtues of those who receive them. They make the faithful docile in readily obeying divine inspirations." So basically these gifts of the Holy Spirit you can find throughout the Bible. However, you can mainly find them in 1 Corinthians 12, 1 through 31. See, I would read that for you guys, but it's really long and I don't think we're gonna have time for that. So that is where you can kind of read about it in the Bible. And I personally really love Corinthians, but this passage I've never read before, and I don't know if I skipped over it by accident, if the pages got stuck together, I don't know. But I've never read like 1 Corinthians 12, and it's eye-opening. Like, it is awesome. So go read that. All right, so the fourth thing is the fruits of the Holy Spirit. There's a little bit of a difference. The gift of the Holy Spirit and then the fruits of the Holy Spirit. Now this is one that I actually don't have memorized yet. So that would be, okay, love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, generosity, gentleness, faithfulness, and self-control. The Catechism of the Catholic Church 1832 states, "The fruits of the Spirit are perfections that the Holy Spirit forms in us at the first fruits of eternal glory." In Psalm 143:10 it states, "Let your good spirit lead me on a level path." The fifth thing that I think Catholics should memorize, and this isn't really memorization as it is knowledge, and that's of mortal sin. Now, I already did a whole video about mortal and venial sins. I'm just going to give a really quick description of it, I guess. Basically, in order for something to be a mortal sin, it needs complete consent, full knowledge, and grave matter. So basically, mortal sin is a personal sin and it's a rejection of God. So basically, you cut yourself off from God completely, which means you don't have a relationship with Him and you don't have sanctifying grace. And then, of course, venial sin is basically a sin where it weakens your relationship with God, but it doesn't sever your relationship with God. So that's a little bit of a difference. But like I said, I did a whole video about this, and I'll link it below just so that you guys can go check it out. So the seventh thing that I think Catholics should memorize is the theological virtues. These are super easy, don't worry, it's only 3. It's faith, hope, and charity. So these virtues are given to us by God during baptism so that He can relate us back to the Holy Spirit. Okay, number 8, this should come as no surprise to anyone, the 10 Commandments. This is kind of obvious and basic, but I think this is something that not a lot of people memorize and actually really need to know. And if you're looking for the 10 Commandments in the Bible, you can find it in Exodus 20, 1 through 17. So the first commandment, I am the Lord your God, you shall have no gods before me. The second commandment is you shall not take the Lord your God's name in vain. The third commandment is remember to keep holy the Sabbath. The fourth commandment is thou shalt honor thy father and mother. The fifth commandment is thou shalt not kill. The sixth commandment is thou shalt not commit adultery. The seventh commandment is thou shalt not steal. The eighth commandment is thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. The ninth commandment is thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's spouse. And the 10th commandment is thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's goods. Also, I just wanted to throw in there, if you guys have issues memorizing things like I do, one of the best ways to memorize things is flashcards. So basically, you just write down like first commandment on one side, and then you flip it over on the other side and you write down what the first commandment is. So in the future, when you have like a question come up or something, you can just pull it out of that little brain socket and be like, I have the answer. I don't think brain socket was the right word to use, but I'm okay with it. Okay, so this isn't exactly one of them, but I just wanted to define what works of mercy is. So the Catechism of the Catholic Church, 2447, defines works of mercy as this. The works of mercy are charitable actions by which we come to the aid of our neighbor in his spiritual and bodily necessities. You can basically find examples of the work for mercy throughout the entire Bible. And originally I wasn't going to read some of these Bible verses, but I think I will just to help you guys out. So my camera just died. That was really rude of it. But I don't think I really have enough battery power to really read all of these Bible verses. So I'm just going to give them to you guys, and I will try to read what I can as long as my camera doesn't die again. Isaiah 58, 6 through 7, Hebrews 13, 3, Matthew 25, 31 through 46, Tobit 4, 5 through 11, Matthew 6, 2 through 4, Luke 3, 11, Luke 11, 41, and James 2, 15 through 16. Hopefully you guys got all that. Okay, Google. Isaiah 58, 6 through 7. Is not this the kind of fasting I have chosen, to loose the chains of injustice and untie the cords of the yoke, to set the oppressed free and break every yoke? Is it not to share your food with the hungry, and to provide the poor wanderer with shelter? When you see the naked, to clothe them, and not to turn away from your own flesh and blood. So basically that's like an example of works of mercy. And while these aren't all the Bible verses that show works of mercy, it's a majority of them, and I feel like they're pretty reasonable to read. They're not super long, and they're really straightforward. Okay, so now we're actually going to get into the works of mercy. There's 2 types of works of mercy. There's corporal and there's spiritual. So the corporal works of mercy are feed the hungry, give drink to the thirsty, clothe the naked, visit the imprisoned, shelter the homeless, visit the sick, and bury the dead. The spiritual works of mercy are counsel the doubtful, instruct the ignorant, admonish sinners, comfort the afflicted, forgive offenses, bear wrongs patiently, pray for the living and the dead. So those would be the works of mercy. And obviously I'm going to have all of this linked below if you guys would like to go check it out. But yeah, overall, these were the 10 things that I feel as though Catholics should memorize. Obviously, I am still working on my memorization. I am not perfect, and I don't expect you guys to be perfect at it either. However, I think this is a good place to start for beginners. And also, I think a lot of this stuff comes up in conversations, so it's relevant too. But yeah, overall, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!